Welcome to the tutorial today on how to make biscuits. I'd like you to notice that I have all of my ingredients on the table. I have 3/4 of a cup of milk. I have 2 cups of flour. I have 3 tablespoons of baking powder. I have 1 tablespoon of sugar. I have 1 teaspoon of salt. I have 1/2 cup of butter, which is 1 stick of butter, and it's cold butter right out of the fridge, cut into cubes. I also have flour here, ready for when I'm going to roll out my biscuits. I'm using a glass today as my biscuit cutter. I have some cooking spray and my cooking sheet. I've read the instructions for the biscuits, and I'm going to talk about a couple of different terms today that you may not know what they mean. One is called cutting in, and the other is called kneading. So we have a clean work surface. Everything is ready to go. My dishes are going to go in the sink right when I'm done and clean up all of my things. And then I'm going to start baking. So the first thing that we're going to do is add our 2 cups of flour into our mixing bowl. We're going to add 1 teaspoon of our salt. We're going to add our sugar, which is 1 tablespoon of sugar, and 3 teaspoons of baking powder. I'm going to add those ingredients, and we're going to stir them together to incorporate all of those ingredients into our flour mixture. Just like that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our cubes of cold butter. This is the first term that we're going to talk about. We need to figure out how to get this cubed butter incorporated into the flour. Now there are 2 tools that you can use. You can use a fork to cut in the butter, and you just smash the butter back and forth with the fork. And you're breaking up that butter into small bits. You can also use what is called a pastry cutter. They sell these at most grocery stores, cooking stores. They're not expensive, and you'll use it a lot for making pie crust or biscuits. So what you do is you push this down and you twist and you cut up the pieces of butter. What this is going to do when it is in the biscuit recipe is it's going to have all kinds of little bits of butter all within the dough. And then as those pieces of butter melt in your biscuits, it creates a little pocket of air, which is what makes your biscuits fluffy. So I'm just pushing in and turning, pushing in and turning. And as I'm doing that, each of those little pieces of butter gets smaller and smaller. And we want those pieces of butter, those chunks of butter, to be about the size of a pea or a kernel of popcorn. It will look chunky, and that's what we want. Sometimes it'll get stuck in here. Almost done. I'll give you an idea here of what we're looking at. So if you'll notice that there are little chunks of butter that are in the dough, and that is what we want. All right, we'll clean up as we go here. The next step is we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of milk all at once in the dough. And we're going to give it a stir. Your dough is going to be a little sticky. Make sure you get all that flour incorporated. Okay, it looks a little sticky. So what I'm going to do is put flour on my table or my kitchen counter. And I'm going to put a little bit of flour on my hands to get my dough out. And gather up my dough. It's okay if you leave a little bit in the bowl. And we're going to put that on this floured surface. Set my bowl aside. The next term that we're going to be learning is kneading. And what kneading is that you're going to take your dough and fold it towards you and give it a little push. You turn it a little bit, fold it towards you, and give it a little push. You're going to do this about 10 times. That's adding some of the flour that's on your table into the dough. About 4 more times here. This creates some air bubbles. Okay, that's all there is to that. You can use a rolling pin to cut this out, or you can just use your fingers. It's noisy. And you want to make it flat about 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch. Just like that. All right. We're going to spray our cookie sheet very lightly with a little bit of cooking oil. You don't need a whole lot. And I'm going to use my glass as my biscuit cutter. I'm going to put my glass in the flour, and that makes it so that it doesn't stick when I cut them out. If it sticks inside the glass, just reach in. It'll pop right back out. And cut your biscuits. You can make your biscuits any size. Okay, I'm going to gather up my dough again. You can do this one more time. Smash your dough out. Probably be able to get 3 more biscuits out of this. My oven is being preheated right now at 450 degrees. See if we can get 2 more. All right. So we have our biscuits on our cookie sheet. They're going to go in the oven for 10 to 12 minutes until they puff up and are golden brown. We'll see you when they're done.